How you doing today? This is Josephine Royal of Let Me Tell You Something. And as I always say, what comes from the heart touches the heart. And I intend to touch your heart today. I know it's hard out there today. There's a lot going on in the community and around the world. But I'm here today to keep you informed. And I have a wonderful guest with me, and I know you know him well. Senator Jason Lewis is here with me today. And how you doing, Senator Lewis? How you doing today?
Hi, Josephine, and hi to all your listeners. It's good to be with you. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
It's a joy to have you. I've seen you many times, and matter of fact, I've recorded you as well. And I want to know, what are you doing in the community with this COVID-19?
Okay, well, first let me say that I hope everybody is safe and well, and all your loved ones as well. I think we all know this is a very, very difficult time, that we're living through, and of course unprecedented for all of us. Unless you were around back in 1918 when we had the last global pandemic. But what we're doing, and this is true, in Malden, in the city government, led by Mayor Christensen, is doing a great job, and in our state government as well, is kind of twofold. The first is that we are taking all the measures that we think are necessary to contain the spread of the virus. And that is all about, preventing our hospitals from being overrun with seriously ill patients, and of course, it's really about saving lives. So that's the top priority, and that's why physical distancing is so important, and people following the advice of public health experts. So that's number one. And then the second thing that we're doing in our government is we are recognizing that this pandemic is causing extreme hardship, for many, many of our neighbors and our small businesses and others. And so we're trying to take steps, to support and help our residents and our small businesses at the same time to get through this crisis.
Could you tell me, I think I mentioned the Mystic Valley distribute meals. And my husband was on the receiving end to that. And I think I talked to Karen Hayes about that. Could you tell me a little bit more about where they came from? It was called Traditions. That's the only thing I know.
Right. So, we have some amazing, people and organizations, in our community, and sometimes in the worst of times, it brings out the best in people. And, let me also just say right now how grateful I know we all are to our first responders and to the folks that are working in our hospitals, and people who are in our grocery stores and drivers and everybody who's kind of, is on the front lines of this. So thank you so much to all of them. And along with all those folks, we have, local community organizations, that are stepping up, that help our neighbors every day, but are really going above and beyond in this crisis. And Mystic Valley Elder Services was a good example. And then another good example is Bread of Life in Malden. They're an amazing organization, and in fact, just the other day, I along with Lizzie Tran from my office, we volunteered to deliver groceries to local residents, and I think that's when we were dropping off groceries, for your husband, and it was great to see all the volunteers that are stepping forward and helping Bread of Life, to make these deliveries. There's a lot of need for food assistance right now. And so anyone who's, willing and able to help, with seniors and people who are vulnerable, there's lots of ways you could also be helping out right now.
Well, could you tell us a little bit more about that? I know Karen did, but can you just tell us where they can, what website they can go to, or where they can call if they don't have internet?
Absolutely. The best place to get good local information is the Malden City website. So you would just go on the Malden City website, and then right there on the first page is dedicated to the COVID-19 situation, and that's a good place to get information on local resources and how ways you can help. And you can also call my office or look at our website or Facebook page, or email us, and we are also another resource for folks in terms of accessing unemployment insurance benefits or food benefits or other programs, and also if you wanted to help by volunteering or donating protective equipment or anything like that, you can also reach out to my office, and that's 617-722-1206, or you can email us at jason.lewis@ma for mass, senate.gov. So I would say either the local Malden City website or my office are two places you can turn to get assistance and also to learn about ways to volunteer.
This is good to know. Is there any other information that you have for us on COVID-19? I realize they're setting up in certain areas in different towns, but in the way of Malden and Medford, could you tell us more?
Another good resource that people should know about is the Massachusetts State's Department of Public Health. We have we're fortunate to have a very strong public health department in Massachusetts, and also a very strong public health department locally in Malden. And so that's also a very good resource for people who want to know more about this disease and, how to protect yourself and your family from it, and have questions about, what the infection rate looks like. Any questions like that, either the Malden Department of Public Health, led by Chris Webb, is doing a great job locally, or the State Department of Public Health. And again, you can find that either online or by calling. Is very good information for folks as well. But, the main thing is, I'm sure your listeners know already, keep your distance from other people, as much as 6 feet when you are out. The advice now is to wear a mask when you go out of your house, and that's both to protect yourself and also to protect other people, because we know already there are people who are infected with the virus who may show no symptoms at all. So it's also about protecting others. And, of course, make sure you observe good hygiene, wash your hands frequently, avoid touching your face. So these are all basic measures that we know can help keep people safe and prevent the spread of the virus.
Mm-hmm. Is there any help for just not the young at heart, but anybody that really, at this point, homeless? Where can they go from Malden and beyond?
Yeah, so there's definitely help for people who are in a tough spot. The first thing I would point people to is definitely unemployment insurance. So anyone who has lost their job or has been furloughed or maybe had their hours reduced, any cut in your income, you are going to be eligible, almost everyone's going to be eligible for unemployment insurance benefits. And that is a great way to get support for you and your family and help to continue to pay your bills. You apply for benefits by going onto the state's unemployment insurance website. It's run by the Department of Unemployment Assistance. And in addition to the regular benefits that folks will be eligible for, there's an additional $600 per week on top that you will be able to receive for the next 16 weeks, and that's thanks to the federal stimulus act that was passed recently with help from our congressional delegation. So that's a good source of income, and the very good news is that people who are self-employed or independent contractors or maybe drive for Uber or Lyft, can also qualify for unemployment benefits. That's not typically the case. But again, because of the federal legislation, they will also qualify. The only thing is they have to wait till the end of April to apply because the state is having to put in place a new system to process those applications. So they'll be able to apply by the end of April. Everybody else can be applying right away. And when somebody qualifies for benefits, they are retroactive to when the person lost their job or had their income reduced. So, don't worry, your benefits will be retroactive. My office has compiled a resource guide for residents, which lists out, again, all this information about unemployment insurance, but also information about food stamps. Those are called SNAP benefits, and housing programs and healthcare programs, and a whole range of other resources for anyone who may be struggling, whether they're seniors or younger folks. It doesn't matter. So that resource guide is also available, and you can find it on my Facebook page, Senator Jason Moore's Facebook page, or again, just email or call my office, and we'll make sure to get it to you. There's a lot of good information in there about resources available to help people. Again, it's 617-722-1206 is my phone number, or email would be jason.lewis, Lewis, at masenate.gov. So we encourage folks to follow up, and we want to help you. Anyone who's is struggling right now, we want to help you as much as we can.
For all first responders out there, if somebody does get this COVID-19 and they don't want to bring it home to their families, anywhere in Malden set up where they can go?
That's a great question. There are concerns about that from first responders and also from nurses and doctors and technicians working in hospitals, that they don't want to put their family at risk. There are housing options being worked out. I think there's discussions with local hotels, for example, and college dorms to provide housing options. So what I would recommend is anybody in that situation, if you're a first responder working in Malden, you would talk to the police chief or the fire chief or the mayor's office in Malden. If you're working in a hospital, like say Cambridge Health Alliance, you would talk to your supervisor at the hospital. But yes, there definitely are plans underway to open up more housing opportunities for our frontline workers.
That's wonderful to hear. I have another question because I hear a lot of people asking about this. Now, this stimulus package, do the young at heart get a stimulus relief?
So I think you're asking about the stimulus checks,
yes,
right, that are being sent. Yes. So the very good news is that those checks, which are, again, part of the federal stimulus bill known as the CARES Act that we were very happy that Congress passed into law 2 weeks ago. There are checks that are arriving very soon, and that will include for seniors as well. And the amount is $1,200 per person, as long as you make less than $75,000 a year in income. So if you make less than $75,000, you would get the full $1,200 check, and you can actually still get a check, although a reduced amount, up to income of $100,000 a year. And so in a household with, say, 2 adults, they would get $2,400. And for households that have children, they would also get an additional $500 for each child. So again, that does apply to seniors as well. Young at heart, as you said, and so that those checks should be arriving. I've been told, even this week, or otherwise in the next couple of weeks.
I'm going to ask you to clarify. Do they have to have direct deposit, sir?
My understanding is if somebody has direct deposit, like from filing their tax returns, then the check will automatically be deposited, in their account. But if you don't have direct deposit, the check will be mailed to you. So, as long as you file the tax return this year or last year, or it'll be mailed to you. If anyone has questions about that or doesn't think they fall into those situations, again, I would urge them to call or email my office, and we will look into their specific situation and see if they need to do. But my understanding is in almost all cases, people do not. They will receive the stimulus checks automatically.
Thank you for clarifying this. This was important to hear because I think there was some confusion on some Young at Heart's part. And they asked me to ask this question. So thank you so much for clarifying. Is there anything that else that you can bring to the table besides washing the hands and good hygiene and wearing a mask? It obviously is better to stay home as much as you can. We recognize people still have to go out to, probably the grocery store and pharmacy, essential things, but try to, minimize that, how often you go out, and or if there's someone who can help you with that, particularly if you're elderly. But it's still fine to, go outside and go for a walk. Get some exercise. That's maybe not today given the weather, yes.
But most days that's perfectly fine. Do that. Get some fresh air, some exercise. That's good for you. The other thing I want to mention that we are working on in the state legislature right now, it's a high priority for the state Senate and the state House of Representatives, is to make sure we protect people so that they are not at risk of being evicted from their apartments, if they have difficulty paying rent, or from their home if they have difficulty paying their mortgage. And we are very soon going to, I believe, put what's known as a moratorium in place on any evictions or foreclosures in Massachusetts throughout the period of this crisis. And we know how important it is that nobody should be at risk of being on the street ever, but particularly in a time like this.
Yes. Do they have any idea? I mean, I know this is an ongoing thing at this point, but do they have any idea when the curve will take place?
According to Governor Baker and the public health experts that the state's been working with, we do expect the sort of the greatest number of infections to happen over the next 2 weeks. So that's known as the surge, in terms of the number of people who are becoming infected, and unfortunately some will need to be hospitalized. But we have our local hospitals, Melrose, Wakefield, certainly Cambridge Health Alliance, the major Boston hospitals. They've all been doing a great job preparing for the surge. They've been expanding the number of beds that are available. They've been expanding their intensive care unit capacity. They've been, adding more staff. They've been doing really a really great job to be ready. So we're very hopeful that, even with more patients needing to be hospitalized, that our hospitals, in this area can accommodate them and can provide them the best possible care so that, hopefully many can recover from this virus. So that's the current projections. What we have to be realistic. The virus is, still not going away, and so, even after the surge, the virus will still be in our communities, and we're still going to have to continue to take precautions for the foreseeable future until we have much better treatments and testing, and also until we have a vaccine available.
I see. Is there anything else you'd like to add, sir?
I think I just want to wish everyone well, and again. Take care of yourself, and this is a little tough time, we know, but we'll get through this together. And again, definitely there's help out there. So anyone who's listening, either they need some help or they have a friend or neighbor who needs help, just reach out again. Reach out to Mayor Christensen's office locally. They're doing a great job. Reach out to my office. Senator Jason Lewis, or to Representative Steve Altrino's office. We'll try to get you the information you need and assistance wherever we can help.
Senator Lewis, do you want to repeat your email and your phone number again, sir?
Sure. So phone number would be 617-722-1206. And that's my office. And although we're not working at the State House right now, we're working remotely. Just leave a message, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And email would be Jason dot, like a period, Lewis, Lewis, at MA for Mass, Senate.gov. Jason.Lewis at MASenate.gov. And you can also find us on our website, Senator Jason Lewis, and anyone who uses Facebook, Senator Jason Lewis as well. That's another good way to get very frequent updates from my office and access to other information. And we also have an email newsletter we've been sending every week or every other week also with updates and resources. And anybody can sign up for our email newsletter as well if you call or email my office or go on our website.
Well, I thank you for being on this podcast and giving us so much information. But I'd like to give a shout out to all the first responders. I'd like to give a shout out to all the nurses out there. I'd like to give a shout out to all the grocery stores workers, all the doctors, all the CNAs, all the home care workers. I'd like to say thank you and take care of yourself as well. Do you all have all the information from Senator Lewis? If you need to call, you do know where to call. If you're from Malden and beyond, you do know where to call. And I'd like to give a thanks to Mayor Gary Christensen and to the Chief of Police of Malden, Massachusetts, and also to Senator Lewis. And I thank you, sir, for coming on this podcast. Thank you very much. And have a wonderful day. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm going to play some very nice calming music for the young at heart and beyond. And I'll be thanking you and praying for each and every one of you. And here it comes. Bye-bye, Senator Lewis.
Bye-bye.